Yeah, what's up everybody? Welcome to another tutorial of Benjamin Felis graphic recording. And this is a super special tutorial because it's already the 25th tutorial I'm releasing this year and I want to continue to make more of them. But I want to celebrate this important step. And therefore, I invited some of the best persons, some of the best names in the whole field, in the whole scene to contribute to this little special tutorial. And I was asking about, 20 people to maybe share a video or like a tip via the phone, just a really short tip or so. And all of a sudden I got all those videos from all those big names, super important people in the whole scene. And I'm super happy that I can show them now, that I'm allowed to share them and to share them with you. And many of the people that they will see in the next minutes are super important people to me that made me the way I am, that made me successful, that made me who I am right now. And I'm so thankful that those people took their time, shared some knowledge, and that I'm allowed to share the knowledge via me through you. Yeah, but of course there's also selection, and there of course are many other people out there also doing great work. But this is my personal selection for now, and so big thank you to all of them. And now for everyone else, it's time to start. So grab a coffee, grab a pen, and let's go. And the first person I want to introduce is Mike Rohde, and I want to pass the mic to Mike now. So Mike, what do you have to say?
Hey, this is Mike Rohde from Milwaukee. My tip for you is prepare as much as you can before you get to whatever you're sketchnoting. I do it to different degrees, but I find that by taking away things to think about frees me up in the moment to be more focused on capturing and analyzing and drawing things. So as an example, preparing the title before you get to the event, drawing the image of the person that you maybe are capturing or the people, deciding ahead of time which colors you're going to use on your sketch note, maybe even building a little reference for the typefaces, the lettering that you'll use in the session. And then additionally, if there's a way to do research ahead of the event, to do a little research on the people and sort of what they're about and where they're coming from, all those things will put you in a really good position to get in the flow state when you get to the session, whether it's online or at some point in the future in person. And it will allow you to focus and really capture and not worry about which pen to use, or is this the right lettering style, or did I draw the picture of the person properly? All that stuff will be off the table so you can focus on the things that are most important.
Hi everyone, my name is Nadine Roßa. I'm a sketchnoter, designer and illustrator living in Berlin. And Ben asked me to suggest some tips that you might need if you want to work in the profession of graphic recording or sketchnoting. And so here's my advice. Whenever I get a job for graphic recording, what I do is I take some time to prepare a couple of hours before the job, usually 1 or 2 days before, so that the time distance from preparation to the job is not too long. And I sit down and start creating my own visual library for the job. That means that I, for instance, if I'm in the field of, environmental stuff or law, that I just sit down and look up what the program says, what the topics are going to be, who the speakers are going to be. Then I just start drawing the lichens, so that I have sort of a feeling for the topic it's going to be about. And that helps me to, get a little self-confidence, because it's not, you don't go into the job and sit in front of the audience and are like, oh Jesus, what am I doing here? I have no idea. And it really helps me to be prepared and feel self-confident. So always prepare, create your own visual libraries for every new job.
Hi, I'm James. I'm a scribe from London, and I'd like to share with you a simple method for creating memorable images. A sentence often has 2 or more descriptive words or phrases. If you take each of these concepts individually and give them a very simple visual description, and then push those descriptions back together again in one image, then you take the stress out of trying to find something, a clever metaphor, and you can create some very interesting and effective juxtapositions. So here we have orchestration and anarchy, and here we have beast and engagement plan, and here we have kindness and trap.
Hello, I'm Brandy Agerbeck of loosetooth.com, and my number one top tip for professional visual practitioners is to advocate for yourself and your role. So often the questions, the fears, the stories I hear are folks that are put in a position by their clients where they can't do the best work they can do. And I think there's a whole lot of this misunderstanding that your client is always right, that your client knows so much more than you do, but your client, you are the one person in the room who knows your role, your experience, the best use of visual tools more than anyone else there. So please do not feel afraid to stand up for yourself, to assert yourself. You can do that without being a jerk and simply say, hey, you know what? I'm concerned about X because in my Y experience, I have found that Z is a better approach. And yes, as you get more experience, that's easier to do, but know that you are the expert in what you do and make sure you need what you need to do the best work you can. That is exactly why the client has hired you. So be well and speak up when you need to speak up so you can do the best work you can do.
Hi, my name is Andreas Gärtner. I'm a graphic recorder based in Münster in Germany. And I do this graphic recording thing since 16 years now. And I want to share with you a little, but for me, a very important tip regarding graphic recording. And I call it the 2 layers of information. And for that, I will demonstrate for you what I mean with this 2 layer of information. And it has to do with a dark gray from Neuland and just a black outliner. So right now, just imagine there is a graphic recording going on. There is a speaker talking about something very important. So of course, I always start with a little picture of that guy who's talking there. Here's his name, and he starts to talk about really, really important stuff. So, key messages. And we have, of course, very big ones here. Yeah, we have big key messages. We have some small ones. So this is text, key messages. I write them down. And for me, I'm following the sentence, content is king. And this is the content. And look what I'm doing with this dark gray pen from Neuland. You know, I'm just drawing some symbols and some other figures in there. They are visualizing what the key messages want to transport and some other. So just little examples, because Ben told me, please, Andreas, be fast, just 1 minute. And so I will hurry up. But what you can see here right now is what I mean with 2 layers of information. 2 layers of information is the first thing that the guy or the girl who's looking at your graphic recording is seeing is the content. It is black, you know. So, and for me, this is perfect for this to support the sentence. Content is king. So the first thing that somebody sees is the content, and after that, the second thing, what they will see is your visualization, your drawings. And this is, for me, this changed my graphic recording style in a very huge way, because from my point of view, it is much more easy to look at a graphic recording and to make a difference between the 2 layers. And so it's less confusing and is more structured with easy use of just dark gray and black. And of course, I use other gray tones to make some shadows in there, or even another gray one. Of course, some color is important, but I guess you see what I mean with a sentence, 2 layers of information. Yeah, and this is just a little tip I want to give you. Just try that out. Use gray for illustrations and black for the content, and look at your graphic recording and feel or see what is happening with your way to look on the information and on the drawings. So thank you very much for your time. And if you are interested in my online course, unfortunately, it's just in German so far. But if you want to see it in English, just send me a mail. Go on my website, andreas-gärtner.de, and here's the QR code. So I hope you are fine with that, and just try it out, and leave me a message if that was helpful for you. Bye.
Hi, I'm Nikki Kurt, and I'm a graphic storyteller. I'm based out of California, by way of New York, by way of Pennsylvania, and I'm delighted to share with you some tips and tricks around how we listen and how we spell and the power of words. So one thing that we often think about with doing live drawings that we focus on is the visuals. But one thing we need to acknowledge is the words, the hand lettering, how you establish that relationship. And it's really getting comfortable with your writing. You want to focus on clarity and really be able to share what is the feeling of the word. And then it makes it fun. It makes it a drawing in itself. It takes away the scariness of maybe it's spelling, or maybe it's, I don't know, my writing isn't very good. But it really gets us clear and excited about the words, the chosen words that we've picked up on and we want to create from. And within that, a secret of mine is I'm not a good speller. I never was. And with live drawing, it's allowed me to get out of my comfort zone, to be front and center in front of thousands of people and writing words that, of course, I second guess myself on how the spelling is. And what I've learned to do is really get out of my own way. Really focus one letter at a time, how it sounds like, what it feels like. And that makes my spelling pretty accurate. Sometimes when I'm really stuck in my head, I'll just go pick up my phone that's right in my hand anyways, look up the spelling so I can be confident and ready to fully listen and be of service of my gift of my offering of fully listening in real time. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Here's a quick tip from letslettertogether.com. One of my most frequently asked questions is, how often do you change your nibs, and which marker do you change the most of? And I say that it's the art marker, or the Neuland No. 1 art with the brush nib. And let me tell you why. So when you get a marker from the factory, from Neuland, that's the art marker, the nib is sort of a conical shape. But because we use these ergonomic grips, over time, what will happen, and you can see the difference between these two nibs here, is the nib will develop an underbelly. So it might have a little bit of, the tip may bend a little bit, and it's going to create this sort of curved part at the bottom. What that's going to do is it's going to end up breaking the fibers on your nib eventually. Remember, this is sort of a moving part in some way, so this marker for me is the one that I replace the most. So if you notice, when you get a marker straight from the factory, it has nice, these are my sort of my middle thick lines, but using the exact same pressure here, and this is running out of ink, they're slightly thicker. And what happens is when we think we're running out of ink, we tend to press down, bear down harder, trying to get the ink out of that marker, and it ends up wearing out our nib more. Now, if you ever find that your nib is let's see if I can find another one, is starting to wear a little bit. And here I've got these nice thick lines. I'm using the exact same pressure. It's full of ink, but it's a little bit worn. If you're finding that you're not getting good thicks and thins, simply flip your marker over, same pressure, and look how much thinner it is. So the trick is replace your markers when they start to develop an underbelly or start to fray. And when it comes to, say, the Neuland Twin one, when you're writing, because we don't have these ergonomic grips, as we're writing, write a few letters and then turn. Write a few letters and then turn. And what that will do is help you keep that conical shape because you're wearing down the nib equally on each side. So I hope this tip was helpful for you. And reach out to me anytime if you have any other lettering questions. Thanks, Ben.
Hello, I'm Roy Blumenthal, the Drawing Monkey. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I do online digital sketchnoting. Today's tip is going to be about how you can do an instant panel drawing using what I call blob people. We're going to be using two layers, a top layer which is an ink layer and a bottom layer which is the color. We're going to be making a person. We're going to choose their most distinctive features. I don't know if you can recognize me in this self-portrait. And I'm going to use colors that are vaguely similar to what the person is wearing. So let's get over to our actual panel. Here's our simulation. So my very first step is I draw in black. I draw 6 blob people in the order that they're standing in or sitting in their panel or in their speaking order. So that's an important distinction. I'm just putting a heavier shadow on the side. I'm giving them a bit of a shadow on the ground. There's a light source coming in from there. And I'm giving them actual earth. So there's an horizon line for them. It situates people. Now I'm going to choose their most distinctive features. I think this lady's hair is quite distinctive, so I'm going to pop that in. She's also got a really beautiful smile, so let's give her a big smile. That's it. That's her. This dude has some nice, interestingly shaped glasses, so I'll use his glasses. Notice how cartoonish this is. He's also got a very interesting beard and a massive smile, so let's use his beard. And this lady also has a very interesting hairstyle, very specific. Always use your undo button if you've got one. She's got really interesting eyebrows, petite nose. That's enough for her. This dude's hairstyle is, I think, his selling point, so let's sell that. Big beard, or stubble really. The key here is recognizability, not accuracy. You're not trying to create a massive, wonderful portrait and he's got a really rugged nose. That's enough. Let's make the women women. A bit contentious, but works. Women seem to not take it too badly. I'm making all my Caucasians the exact same shade. I'm using my lasso tool and I'm going to use a bucket fill to add the color. I'm on my color layer, so you see the color appears below them. I'm just doing the lasso on this guy. I'm doing a color pick. I don't know what happened to my lasso. There we go. quickly do some clothing. And I'm not looking for exact representations here, and I'm not looking for fussy detailing either. I'm really just looking for something that gives people a sense of what they're seeing. So there's familiarity when they look at this picture. It's not a surprise to them. It's like, oh yeah, that guy, that woman, okay, cool. Now this guy, the reference pic is in black and white, so I'll just make it up and make it pleasing to my color scheme or my own aesthetic choices. Last thing is the hair, so I'll just lasso tool the hair. This lady's hair is kind of blondish. This lady's is more brownish, so I'll change it. And that is pretty much, that's it. That's my panel. They're basically now ready for whatever their speeches are. So whatever they're going to be talking about, I can now work very fast around what they're saying. That's it. That is my set of that's my tip for the day. I hope it's useful to you, and I look forward to seeing your Blob People panelists. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Hello friendly people, my name is Eva-Lotta Lamm, and I want to share a little thought with you that I just shared in one of my sketching classes about how to draw different people, different types of people, and different groups of people, especially when you want to draw them in an inclusive way, and a few things to think about when approaching that. I'm going to switch my camera around so that I can actually show you what I mean. So let's imagine we want to draw a particular person, like this person here, for example. Maybe this person, we want to draw them, so we need to think about what they look like and who they are and how we want to represent them on our piece of paper. So if this is us here, usually we use what we see. So when we draw, here we are drawing, doop, 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 holding the thing, and we actually usually we look at them and we go off with how we see them as a person, how they look, what they do, what we can see of them, how we see them. It is interesting, however, to, especially if we want to recognize who they are and how they actually see themselves, if we want to represent them accurately, it is also good to think about, as I said, how do they see themselves? So if they see themselves in a mirror, or they have a particular image of themselves, how do they see themselves? And this is important because we want this person to feel represented, how they see themselves. We want them to recognize themselves if we want to include them, and not feel like it's not them that we are actually showing. And the third axis that is really interesting is not only how they see themselves, but maybe also how they want to be seen by others, how they want to be seen by society, how they actually want to be represented, because it's not only us looking at them, but maybe the whole of society, and how they want to be represented. So these are three kind of different gazes, slightly different gazes, and they can all contribute to how we represent people in our drawings. And it's interesting to keep them all in mind, I think. And the interesting thing is, if we want to get better at actually representing people, and we want to use the input of how we see them, it is a good idea to sharpen our observational skills, to get more nuanced in actually seeing what people actually look like, what they do, and getting more nuanced in that. So sharpening our observation is a good tool. The other thing is we want to know how they see themselves, and the best way to know how they see themselves is to actually ask and to listen. So we want to ask and we want to listen, so that we can really understand how they see themselves and all the things, the inner world that we actually can't see from the outside, to share that with us. And then the third question of how they want to be seen by us or by society, and how they want to be represented, that is actually an even broader question as well, because this needs, in my opinion, a whole dialogue, like a real dialogue of how they are represented and seen at the moment, and what is maybe missing and what might be wrong about it, and how they want to be seen in the future. So there's also the whole idea of changing the perception, and we can help change this perception with our representation as well. So yes, this is just my thought about maybe drawing more inclusively, and thinking about these three different gazes, and how we can be more complete in what we see and what we represent. So drawing more inclusively. Sometimes it's difficult. So thanks for listening. My name is Eva-Lotta Lamm. You can find me at www.evalotta.net and on Instagram at Eva-Lottchen, which actually means little Eva-Lotta in German. When you add a hen, everything becomes small. This is my thought of the day. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Bye.
Hi everybody, my name is Frédéric Debailleul and I'm calling from Paris, as you may hear from my French accent. I've been a graphic facilitator for 5 years now, but before I was an engineer. I've got an engineering background, so I began to draw quite late. So my advice as an ex-engineer to draw is to begin with shapes, circle, triangles, rectangles, squares. You begin with the shapes, you draw them well, and then you begin to refine them to bring details, and there your drawings go to life. So my tips would be first to see around you, to observe and find these shapes, and so be able to transform them into drawings. Then to draw, you have to draw. You can draw every day. Maybe take the circle and draw different drawings from the circle. So make the earth, make a bulb, make every kind of drawing you can find, and you'll see them in this drawing I'm making at the same time. And so my third tip would be just to be patient, because your drawing will evolve and you're gonna get better and better. And now you add some color to your drawings, and it's time to reach the stars. Go! I hope you enjoyed these tips, and see you soon.
Hi folks, Andy Debailleul from Work Visible here, calling you from sunny Scotland with a couple of tips at the request of Ben. He says I've got a minute. I'm going to struggle to get it done in a minute, I think. But I was thinking, the thing that most people ask me when I'm doing live illustration or sketchnoting is two things. How do you choose what to draw? And how do you choose where to draw it? And so what I very often find is that when you talk to people about what they're doing to practice is to take out separate elements, so icons, containers, people, things like that, and they're trying to find separate time to give that dedicated practice. And obviously that's a great thing to do, but it's quite hard. What people find is quite hard to keep that going. And something that I find far more helpful is trying to find separate things and separate time, is to try and find things that are part of life. So for example, if you're planning something, then you draw. If you're stuck, then you draw. If you're thinking something through, then you draw. If you're maybe watching something or listening to a podcast, then you draw. And you find the elements as you need when you're doing that, and you combine them together. And that's really building an important muscle, which is, as you're exploring a subject, you're finding something that meets the needs of the moment. Now, you might only have one or two icons that you can actually draw, but in doing that, you're developing another muscle, which is in the moment finding what you need. And that's pretty much the most important muscle to have if you're doing sketchnoting or live capture, as well as more deliberately building a library. The second part of what to draw is how you listen. And more than anything else, with people I'm talking to, I'm finding that they're saying, well, they're trying to keep up. Well, quite clearly, you just can't draw everything. It's not physically possible. So a great exercise, if you're sketchnoting or live illustration or doing live illustration or practicing that, is to deliberately restrict yourself. So you might say you're only going to allow yourself to draw one thing every 5 minutes of a talk, or maybe in the entire talk, you're only going to allow yourself to capture 3 moments. Or you might say, I'm going to listen to this and only draw the objects as I hear, or I'm only going to draw when someone comes to a conclusion or gets to the point. And of course, sometimes they never get to the point. Or you're only going to draw quotes that really jump out at you. In Work Visible, we call this intentional listening, and it's an important part of how we help people get better at doing live illustration and sketchnoting. So the next thing is where to draw on the paper. How do you choose what to draw? And there's 3 things there. So the first thing is have an overall layout in mind. And obviously there's lots of great ones to choose out there, but having it in mind and being intentional about it at the start is super helpful in terms of being able to get a nice composition. The second thing that's often great, beginner or not, is to cheat. So what do I mean by that? Well, here's an example of, this is my A3 pad that I use, and I don't know how well you can see it, but there's, underneath the paper, I've got another template that I've just drawn out. Where has it gone? It's disappeared. Yeah, so like this. And it just shines through the paper, so I can kind of have it in mind, and I don't have to be have the whole layout just in my head. Of course, there's different ones. We've got here, there's a circle one, we use that from time to time. We've got something a bit more complicated, a map. And just having a few of these, here's the storyline one I use from time to time. Having a few of those, and you can just slip it under your paper, whether it be a pad or like this loose leaf, makes it easy. To mix it, you don't have to think about it, you can just use it as a guide. And the last thing then is when you're listening is to divide that in your mind by time. Maybe if you've got time to prepare, you might actually mark out the canvas in pencil. So, but basically, if it's an hour-long talk, then, or there's a couple of people speaking over an hour, you can say, well, they've got half each, and I'm going to, like, in my head, like the beginning is this much, and we're going to give 20 minutes to the main part, and that's this much of the canvas. And it doesn't actually work out like that when you're scribing, because some people talk way more than others, some people are way more interesting than others, some parts of a talk are way more interesting than others, but it's a massive help in terms of managing the space on the canvas and making sure you've got enough left and that you also cover the canvas. So those are 4 tips, probably in about 4 minutes. So instead of doing things separately, find ways to practice as part of life. Restrict your listening so you can only try and do a particular type of thing and draw that when you're practicing. Choose a layout and cheat, and mark things out by time. So have a go with those things and let us know how you get on. Cheers.
Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Boostone. I am sending you this lovely message from Southern California in the United States. And Ben has asked me to be a part of this, and I'm super excited. I wanted to talk to you about 2 tips for marketing with graphic recording. Now, for those of you who know me, I have been a graphic recorder for over 30 years, have a global consulting practice around business strategy. This is like my thing. I just love it. So the 2 things I want to talk to you about are with marketing. Number 1 is the best opportunity that you have to market yourself is with an existing client already. So your clients are already sold on you. So they are like the meat in the sandwich, right? Well, not so much if you're a vegan, but they are the good stuff in the sandwich that you've already got. And if you keep going back to them, they'll have more and more work for you. So it's your number 1 place to go is with the people you already have. 2, the second thing I want to tell you is when you're in the midst of a job with a client, whether it's live stream, whether it's in-person graphic recording, that is the best place for you to get more work. So if you're not selling when you're on site, or you're in the midst of a digital recording or right afterwards, then you're missing a huge opportunity because people are all excited about it and they're hot for it. And you have to make sure that you're maximizing that opportunity. That means if you're doing digital recording, that you say to the client, hey, when this all goes out, can you please make sure it gives attribution to my company? Maybe link your Instagram or your Facebook page to it. And that is a great way for you to get lots of other work. I get the majority of my work in person when I do live graphic recording. And everybody that's been to my boot camp knows that as well. Okay, bonus tip. So one of the things I do to really make sure that I'm being consistent about marketing is I do this thing that I've created called 10 by 10. And 10 by 10 means I need to do 10 things before 10 o'clock in the morning that are strategic for my business. A lot of those things can be simple things, like I have to make a phone call back to this particular client because this will lead to closing a job. Maybe it is following up with a particular person. Maybe it's checking out a website that for a conference that I might want to attend. There's 10 things that I need to do before 10 o'clock in the morning that are going to be strategic for my business and to get me more work. So they have a direct link to return on investment. So those are the best things you can do. Again, 10 before 10. And that is the best way for you to stay focused. And then the rest of the day is kind of cake and you can deal with logistics and all of those other things. But those are my 3 tips. And I'm super excited that, and I hope that you all use these tips and go get yourself some more work. Thanks from California.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Brad from Drawing Change, calling you from the unceded territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And I've got 3 business tips for creatives who don't like talking about money and who work for social change. 1 is that it's totally okay to get paid, and you can find ways to make it reciprocal. 2, I want you to think about showing people the work that you want more of. That's super important. 3, the work that you do matters, but almost as important is your reputation. So how you show up matters just as much. So be authentic, be genuine, and come with a deeper understanding of the topic. And then the last point is that this work is also about giving back. So if you have privilege, spend it and open up doors for other people, give back, join networks, create community. Thanks so much.
Wow, thank you, Sam. And thank you everybody who contributed to this amazing 25th tutorial of Benjamin Felis graphic recording. Thank you all guys for participating, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your insights, sharing your tips to a broader audience for free. And I can't say how much thankful I am that you took part in this. And for everyone watching, I put all the websites, names, social media contacts down below here in the description, so make sure to follow them, because many of them or all of them have some sort of a blog of books released, workshops, online classes. So check them out and follow them, and they will be very beneficial for your work. And also, if you like the video, of course, also comment what you learned, comment what you liked about it. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, because there's so much coming up in the next weeks, and I would be happy that we're going through this journey together. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. I hope you learned lots, and see you next time at the next tutorial of Benjamin Felis. Bye. And if you think this could also be a profession for me, I want to learn this no matter where I am. I also have 2 online classes. One is more a starter class where you learn how to draw, how to visualize, how to draw symbols, type, make a nice composition, learn the techniques, the basic techniques. This is where you can start. And if you're a bit more advanced and you think about, I could become maybe a graphic recorder, I want to turn this into a profession, or at least want to make it a bit more professional, then check out my online class, Graphic Recording Like a Pro. Or if you want to have all the knowledge together, check out the bundle, the Visual Pro package. And all of the classes are now 50% off with the code StarterKit, because I want to help you get started in this amazing and sustainable and hopefully long-lasting and best profession ever.